Hello, everyone. How's it going? I hope you're all doing well. Today's session is especially important because I'm going to share something essential for your English learning journey: how to understand and remember everything in English so you can speak up with confidence. You might be reading a lot or listening to plenty of material in English, but how do you actually understand it? If you're only listening to or reading content that's at your current comfort level, then you're not encountering new words or phrases, and that means you're not really pushing yourself to improve. To make real progress in English, you need to challenge yourself by choosing difficult articles, stories, novels, or other content that introduces you to unfamiliar words and expressions. This will help expand your vocabulary and deepen your understanding of the language. However, constantly stopping to look up words in a dictionary can be tiring and disruptive. So, how can you naturally understand everything in English and remember it well enough to use it later? That's exactly what I'm going to explain in this video. Are you ready? Before we dive in, please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the lessons I post here, and don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends as well. Now, back to today's topic: how to understand everything you read or hear in English and remember it. When we talk about understanding English, we're really talking about engaging with English language input. This means reading, listening, or maybe watching content in English. If you're using subtitles, you're actually combining two skills: reading the subtitles and listening to the content, which helps reinforce your learning. At the core, you're practicing two fundamental skills of the English language: reading and listening. This is how you consume English content, build your understanding, and gradually improve your speaking fluency as well. This is one of the most natural and effective ways to get better at English, and we've talked about it before, so you're probably familiar with the idea by now. Now, as you consume content, how can you actually understand it deeply and remember it for the long term? Often you might read something, grasp its meaning in the moment, but then later forget it. And then you can't use it when speaking or writing. But why are we learning English in the first place? The whole point of reading and listening to so much content in English is to help you improve your speaking skills in real-life situations or to express yourself clearly in writing. In other words, the goal is to be able to actively use the language you're learning. But the challenge is that many times, you don't fully understand everything you read or hear, and even when you do, you might not remember it well enough to use it later. I'm here to guide you on how to overcome this, how to understand everything you read or listen to, and remember it so you can actually use it in conversation. By use it, I mean being able to speak it confidently, which is essential. Setting yourself up for success. Before we dive into the steps, it's important to set realistic goals to keep you motivated. One powerful way to stay on track without feeling overwhelmed is to set small, achievable goals. For example, commit to learning 5 new words each week and practice using them in sentences or conversations. Small goals are easier to stick with and help you feel progress without pressure. Learning even a few words consistently over time will build up your vocabulary tremendously. Let's get started with the complete plan I've laid out for you. When it comes to reading, it's crucial because reading is one of the primary ways you're exposed to language. To really understand and absorb what you're reading, you also need to pay close attention to context. I always emphasize this. Language is all about context first. Context refers to everything surrounding the use of a particular word or phrase, including the situation it's used in, how it fits within a sentence, and even the specific meaning it takes on in that moment, since a word can have multiple meanings. Understanding context is key because it's the most natural way to truly grasp a language. When you understand words in context, you're not just memorizing them, you're learning to use them naturally. You're not forcing yourself to memorize or cram, and you're not doing rote learning where you repeat sentences without real comprehension. Instead, you're learning in a way that mirrors how a child picks up their native language, by absorbing and understanding language in real, meaningful situations. This is the most effective approach to learning, and it will help you build a solid foundation for using English confidently and fluently. So how do you go about understanding context? There's actually a simple method you can use. I'm going to walk you through a few steps that will help you understand context, make sense of everything you read or listen to, and remember it so you can use it later. Step 1 is to look for context clues. But what exactly are context clues? Context clues are all the hints around a particular word that help you understand its meaning. These clues could be in the sentence itself, the sentence right before, or the one after. If you're watching something in English, understanding context is often easier because the visuals give you additional clues. You can see the people, the setting, and the actions, which all help make the meaning clearer. Visuals make it easier because half of the context is already there in what you see. But even then, the other half of the context comes from the way the word is used in a sentence. When you're reading, though, there's no visual aid, so you have to rely on your imagination. The same goes for listening. Without visuals, you need to use mental images to create context. This is why it's so important to pay attention to context clues in the text or audio instead of immediately jumping to a dictionary. If you always look up words right away, you're missing a valuable opportunity to train your brain to figure things out naturally. Why is jumping to the dictionary a problem? It's because it gives your brain instant gratification. You might have heard this term before. Instant gratification means doing something that's quick and satisfying in the moment, but doesn't have a lasting effect. When you quickly look up a word, you get a little confidence boost. Great, now I know what this word means. But this feeling is temporary. In the moment, you might feel like you understand, but later, you're likely to forget the word because you haven't really connected it to anything meaningful. This is a common struggle for English learners. You learn new words, but then you can't remember them when you need to use them. Often, we can recognize words we've seen before, but using them in conversation is much harder. This happens because looking up words instantly gives you the definition in isolation, without the support of the context. When you isolate a word like this, you're not learning how it naturally fits into a sentence or conversation. To really understand and remember a word, you need to keep it within its context. Don't separate the word from the surrounding sentences. Instead, look for clues around it that help reveal its meaning. This way, you're not just memorizing a definition, you're learning how to use the word naturally in a way that will stick with you. So, whenever you come across an unfamiliar word, take a moment to look for context clues rather than reaching straight for the dictionary. This approach will help you build a deeper understanding of English over time. So, how exactly do you look for context clues? This is a crucial skill to develop. Let me walk you through an example to show you how it works. Let's say you come across this sentence. She was feeling euphoric at the prospect of getting selected for the school's literary club. In this sentence, there are two new words, euphoric and prospect. Let's figure them out using context clues. First, let's look at euphoric. The sentence says, she was feeling euphoric. The word feeling gives us a hint that euphoric is an emotion. So we know she's experiencing some kind of feeling. But what kind of feeling? The next part of the sentence says, at the prospect of getting selected for the school's literary club. Being chosen for a prestigious club would likely make someone happy or excited, right? So we can guess that euphoric is a positive emotion, maybe similar to being thrilled, overjoyed, or on top of the world. In this context, euphoric means an intense feeling of happiness or excitement. Now let's look at the next word, prospect. So far, we don't have enough information to fully understand it. But if we read a bit further, we see. She still has to go through the final stage of screening. This tells us that she hasn't been selected yet, but there's a chance she will be. From this, we can infer that prospect means a possibility or chance. Something good that could happen, though it's not guaranteed. Finally, let's look at screening. From the previous context, we know she's trying to get into a club, so screening probably refers to some sort of test or audition that she has to pass to be selected. In this example, we figured out the meanings of euphoric, prospect, and screening just by using the context clues around them. This approach allows you to make educated guesses about new words by analyzing the surrounding sentences and meanings. What we're doing here is making logical guesses based on context. We may not get an exact definition right away, but we get close enough to understand the main idea. If you're still unsure, you can always look up the word in a dictionary afterward to confirm. However, the primary goal is to use context clues to understand words in their natural setting, which helps build lasting knowledge. These context clues are essential for understanding English, whether you're reading or listening. When listening, you might need to pause, rewind, or replay parts of the audio to catch all the clues around an unfamiliar word. Step 2. Take notes and record. Once you've understood a word in context, the next step is to make notes. For example, if you come across a new word like prospect, write it down in a notebook or journal, along with the sentence where you found it, or any related words or phrases that help clarify its meaning. This practice helps reinforce the word in your mind and gives you a deeper understanding of how it's used. Recording words in context helps move them into your long-term memory, making it easier to remember and use them later. Step 3. Use an online dictionary for confirmation. After you're done reading or listening, take some time to check the meanings of any new words you encountered. There's no need to interrupt your flow after every sentence. For instance, if you're reading a page with 10 unfamiliar words, write down the context clues for each word first, then look them all up together afterward. I recommend using an online dictionary, as it provides the full definition, pronunciation, and examples of how the word can be used in different contexts. If you don't have access to an online dictionary, a pocket dictionary, like the Oxford Dictionary, can also be very useful. When I was in school, I always kept an Oxford Dictionary on hand and used it right after English class. Personally, my favorite online resource is the Cambridge Dictionary. Step 4. Regular speaking practice. Once you've noted new vocabulary and understood its context, the best way to cement it is by using it in conversation as soon as possible. The more you use a new word, the more natural it will feel. Practice speaking with friends, language partners, or even by yourself if no one is available. Try to create sentences that use the new word in different ways. The key here is repetition in real situations, which will boost both your memory and your confidence in using English fluently. Step 5. Incorporate writing to reinforce memory. In addition to speaking, you can reinforce your learning by writing with the new vocabulary. This could be as simple as journaling a few sentences each day, using the words you've learned, or writing a brief story that includes them. Writing helps your brain process the language deeply, so the words are more likely to stick with you. Plus, writing regularly will improve your ability to express yourself clearly in English, which is essential for fluency. Step 6. Review regularly. The final step is to review what you've learned. You've already built a strong foundation with these techniques, but regular revision is key for long-term retention. You can set up a review schedule based on what works best for you, every 10, 20, or 30 days. For example, if you learn a new word on day 1, try to review it within the next 2 weeks. The longer you wait, the more likely you are to forget it. Each time you review, you strengthen your understanding and memory of the word, making it easier to recall when you need it. Step 7. Using memory techniques for enhanced retention. Finally, try incorporating memory techniques to make the process easier. Flashcards are a powerful tool, especially with spaced repetition software like Anki or Quizlet, which schedules review sessions just before you're likely to forget. Associating new words with personal experiences or creating a mental image of the word's meaning can also deepen your memory. Little strategies like these make remembering new vocabulary easier and more effective. By following these steps, you'll build a solid foundation for remembering and using new English words and phrases. You'll be able to confidently understand, retain, and use new vocabulary in real-life situations. This deep learning approach is essential for achieving fluency in English. That's all for today's lesson. Take care and happy learning. Remember to practice consistently and keep pushing yourself with new, challenging material. Soon, you'll find yourself speaking and understanding English with ease and confidence.